Today's message from Dr. Christian Sorensen was recorded April 7th, 2019, and it's titled, The Adjustment Must Be Made for Healing. And the affirmation today is, A divine shift has opened my awareness to greater good. And today we welcomed Arnáe Batson as our special musical guest artist. Come visit us at our website at seasidecenter.org, and you can join us in Encinitas, California on a Sunday sometime, where we always have great music, a spirited message, and a joyful, loving, vibrant community that await you.
All right, take it away, Danielle.
Thank you, Brian. All right, well, this morning, once again, we have just a fantastic guest artist with us. I had the morning to chat with her, and she's told me about her gratitude for having been introduced to this community by the great Reverend Fran. And she's down here all the way from LA visiting us from the Agape Spiritual Center. She is a singer, songwriter, producer. Her vocal styling's just blowing me away all morning, and I am so moved by her, and I know that you will be too. So please give a big Seaside welcome for Arnáe Batson.
Good morning, Seaside. Good morning, Seaside. That's what's up. Oh, yes. What a beautiful day. You make it seem like Los Angeles is so far away. It's just a subway ride. It's not that long. So I am grateful, as always, to be here again, to visit this lovely community. I love the garden, the poems, the stones. It's just a wonderful space to be in. And I am bringing you a song from one of my very favorite people in the world, one of my very favorite singers, songwriters, the incredible Ricky Byers, who you all are going to get to see on Friday, right? And the song I'm going to do is a title selection from a CD that is in your bookstore now. It's called In the Land of I Am. And you can sing along too. Maestro.
Oh
I will be. I am all that I am. Everybody, in the land of I am more than I have been. I am more. I am all in the land and the soul.
That is Arnáe Batson gracing our stage with their presence. Once again, we've missed you.
Thank you.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. My goodness, you're living up there in Northern Cal. Oh, there you go. There you go. Arnáe Batson just blessing our stage with the great land of I am. Woo! Wow, my whole being is just singing with that. I just got to get back to earth. Or not. Just bring it from that high place anyway. Oh, what a joy it is to be here. We are in the midst of the Lent season, and we're doing it a little differently, as you know. Rather than giving something up for Lent, which is kind of the discomfort of rejecting something, we're embracing. We're embracing our greater good. We're embracing our vision. We're embracing that which is enriching our life. We're embracing that for which we're being called to. How does that feel? Yeah, it is so much more fun. And so we have sacred circles going on every week, and they ask you in that circle, what are you going to embrace this week? And they pray together. So just to give you a heads up, sacred circles, some are still open. There's 3 weeks left. Feel free to check in and be part of that. And we have been going over we've been going over the keys to healing. I've shared with you, today's the 5th one. But the first one was, if you remember, seeing as God sees. Very important to healing. Forgiveness, absolutely. Got to be able to let it go. Surrender, big thing. Last week was about wholeness. And today, Tracy McCoy put together a wonderful sacred circle that's based upon the renewing of the mind. A wonderful a quote that comes from the Bible. Don't be conformed to this world, right? But be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so you might be able to discern, what is right and good and perfect. So you can discern what is Spirit's to do, not the ways of this world. And so this morning's message is, you got to make an adjustment for healing to happen. I like that one because it's like a no-brainer, like, duh. I got to make an adjustment if I want something different to happen in my life, because if I keep doing what I've been doing, I'm going to keep getting what I've been getting. And so all of a sudden, if I come to realize, okay, this is no longer feeling good, I've got to begin to make this adjustment in my field of awareness, within my consciousness. I've got to see as God sees. I got to forgive the mistakes. I got to let it go. I've got to surrender, my position, so I can begin to be available for the wholeness to emerge within my life. And that happens by renewing our mind. That's the way it works. It's by renewing the mind so I can be available to God. The first quote from Ernest Holmes in this week's Sacred Circles, Tracy put in there that said, the realization of the presence of God is the most powerful healing agent known. It's really that simple. A realization of the presence of God. If I can begin to experience a presence rather than being consumed by what it is I don't want to experience, rather than being consumed by the fear, I've got to recognize that, you know what, there's probably needs a change to go on my life, to go on in my world. I mean, if something's not working, if there's something that keeps showing up in my life, it becomes necessary to realize that, you know what, something wants to change here. If something's going on, it keeps grabbing my attention, saying it's not working, it's not happy, it's not healthy, so I got to pay attention. And so really the first part about embracing change is to ask yourself, do I hear it? How often do I need to go on before I can hear something? I remember once driving out in the Mojave Desert. I may have shared this. The car was making a lot of noise out in the desert at nighttime, so I said, turn up the radio. Couldn't hear it any longer. But it eventually blew up in the middle of the Mojave Desert at midnight, and that's another story for another time. But I want us to get, so the first thing, when something keeps grabbing your attention in your life that's saying, hey, something's out of balance, you've got to, do I hear it? And once you hear it, do you accept it? No, I turned up the radio here. Do I accept what is going on? Well, usually what happens is it's initially rejecting it for a while. I don't need an adjustment in my field of awareness. I'm just not going to deal with it. And eventually it comes around to getting your attention. And once you realize I got to do something with it, it's not as if it goes easy, at least not for me. There's still this inner battle between yes and no. The Hamlet in me, the one that needs to deliberate. Do I kill him, kill myself? That deliberation goes on within the consciousness. There's something that says, Christian, you can get it right away. I hear it. Something needs to be adjusted in my field of awareness. I've got to create a new kind of opening for that spirit to come in so I can experience a greater sense of peace here. I've got to stop ignoring what is going on, because ignoring doesn't mean it goes away. It's saying, Christian, it's time to up level here. What may have served you, but it's not anymore, which is why it's talking to you. And so what I want to do is go to God. But what happens is when people go to God, oftentimes they go to a God that's outside. Hey, God, man, I need you to go destroy my enemy. God, I need you to do this for me. Which the concept that, God is my servant, it's going to obey what I am going to say, that it's withholding something that's going to go work on my behalf is a little off. This is where some adjustment can go on, because as we know, God is omniscient, right? That means it knows everything. It created the universe and the galaxy. It's pretty much got it handled. Really, when the last thing it needs is me saying, hey, Christian, or a Christian, hey, God, go do this. God's not going to obey. It knows everything. It knows what is going on, and it is omnipotent. You got that? It is the only power. There's not going to be a fight between God and something else so God can come out victorious. There is no power other than the omni everything. It is the power. So there's not going to be a fight because I told God to obey me and go do something, right? And then the other omni is it's omnipresent. It's everywhere, right? So that means I can't set God somewhere because it's already there. So the all-knowing, wise, only power there is already where my difficulty is, where that change wants to take place, for that greater realization, for that which is stressing me, challenging me, or bringing me to my knees, or waking me at night. What I've got to do is have this adjustment, renew my mind, and say, okay, I get it, man. The doctors are scaring me. The banks are scaring me. But you know what? That's not the truth. The presence is already there, and I have got to begin to adjust my field of awareness so I begin to recognize that the presence of God is seeking to emerge there. And these experiences I'm having, they're natural human reactions. That kind of concern, the stress, the anxiety, the worry, they come up because we're in this incarnation doing this thing life, and they're hitting us where we're vulnerable. It's bringing questions up, but we'll never really know our strength until we are able to deal with some of our greatest vulnerabilities. The Spirit of God is right there, and in the midst of all the challenges, I've got to make the adjustment and renew my mind, say, God, I'm coming home. I'm coming back. I realize you haven't gone anywhere. I can't send you on my behalf. What I've got to do is make myself available to the greater expression in this rising vision that is within me. And maybe I've made mistakes. You know the story. We're familiar with the story of the prodigal kid. You know, who grew up in a pretty nice home. And, hey, Dad, I want my inheritance. I'm done. I don't want to wait till you die. Would you give me what is rightfully mine? And as we know, Dad said, here you go, son. And he took off. And the kid gone wild. You know, spring break all the time. He partied, hung out with the wild ones, had friends until he ran out of money. Then he had no friends, and then he had debt. He had no work. He had to work in the field as a laborer and had to, feed the hogs, which is not a very high-level career move when you've got it all going for you. And finally, when he's starving and eating the hog's food, he said, God, man, at least my dad's servants are better taken care of than me. I'm going to go home. I know that I don't deserve to be any more than a servant of my dad, but I'm going back. And so he gets the gumption. And he's heading home. He gets to the bottom of the driveway, and he sees his dad like outside. He's been waiting for him almost. He said, man, Dad's going to let me have it now. And he starts walking, and Dad comes running to him. And he said, oh, man, I'm in trouble now. And what Dad does is he gives him this big old bear hug. And the kid goes, Dad, I made a mistake. I did wrong. I did all these mistakes. Can I at least be a servant? You take care of them better than... Dad, I don't want to hear any of this. You're my son. Let's throw a celebration. You have returned. And he's trying to convince the father how bad he is. And say, no, I love this part of the dad. He didn't even inflict guilt. He said, he didn't go, hey, you did wrong. I told you not to. You should have listened to me. How could you have? He didn't say any of that. It was behind him. All that mattered was there was this embrace and said, welcome home, my child. I've missed you. He said, but Dad, I'm not more worthy than a servant. You're part of this house. You're part of this home. You're part of this. This kid couldn't figure out. He couldn't find satisfaction buying things, buying friends, goodies. He tried. And what you come to recognize once you go on that track is you can buy yourself stuff and have a little satisfaction for a while. But that which doesn't satisfy your soul, you can never have enough of that. You can never have enough of that which doesn't satisfy your soul. You've got to find that which is yours to do. And what you do is you make these adjustments in your life. You begin to renew the mind and consciousness in those areas that are little rough, and you begin to move in that appropriate direction. You may make some mistakes, but I love what Groucho Marx told us. He said, learn from other people's mistakes. You don't live long enough to make them all yourself. And so, can I learn from my mistakes? You can laugh at yourself. Really, Christian, you did that? But we take ourselves so seriously. I mean, have you ever been really serious? You know how tense you are when you're serious? Sometimes people say, Christian, lighten up, man. Laugh a little bit more. It's like there's this tension. You don't want to hang around people that are serious. You want to be around those that take life lightly, that begin to see the present, to begin to see your follies as learning opportunities that you can laugh at, that you can learn from, that all of a sudden you're able to step into a greater expression. You're not bound to that by some karmic debt. Karma, I'm bound to this karmic wheel forever. What you got to do is make that adjustment in your mind and consciousness and begin to open up to the God perspective, to see as Spirit sees, forgive yourself, surrender some of that stuff, and step into the whole possibility that is there, because karma does not designate your destiny. You got that? Karma shows you your starting point. Cause and effect says you are starting here, but it has nothing to do with your destiny unless you continue to repeat the patterns and to believe a certain way and think that's all that you are going to get in your life. Yep. Attitude and character determine your destiny. And that is decided moment by moment. In every moment, you get to decide what's your attitude, which directs your character, and your character directs your destiny. So karma or cause and effect or what goes around comes around may have gotten you where you are, but you're not bound by that. You're the one who just says, you know what, I'm in relationship to this right now. I'm not bound by many lifetimes of screwing up. You know what, right now, I am choosing to make this adjustment and open myself to a greater possibility because you know what, I'm a child of God. And I don't have to go out and find my heaven heavenly place or my kingdom. What I know is right where I am, the fullness, because Spirit is omnipresent. I get to be that place. I get to believe in that. And I get to know that is the truth of who I am. And I'm in relationship with that. See, all of life is about relationship. I don't know if you know that or not, but anything you encounter, you're in relationship with. Just thought I'd fill you in on that. Now, I think it's a little more helpful if you're conscious of relationship, as opposed to just going through it. And there's levels of relationship. I mean, some are more intimate, some more fun, some a little more. But anything that you have encountered is part of your relationship or your relational world. And something about relationships, everyone out there in your world is there for you. Everything going on in your world is your soul curriculum. And the more you can begin to focus in and pay attention and learn from it, the deeper you can go with it. And though it looks like the relationship is out there and that person is out there or that dynamic is over there, it's all part of the one. It's all one. See, that's really the premier level of relationships, is getting to realize that we're all one. I believe in diversity and expression and the uniqueness and our brothers and sisters, but we're all one. As Arnáe was singing to us, grandfather is within. Grandmother, is part of me. It's one with me. As I begin to feel that and sense that, I know that this oneness is truly the key, the wholeness, the expression of the presence of God. And it is valuable to be able to be in relationship and to relate to other things. The old story. It's been told many times about the mouse who was out with its 5 little mice behind it looking for crumbs for morning breakfast. And the cat of the house backed mom into the corner, and her 5 little micey kids went behind her, and they were shaking. The cat was ready to pounce and eat. And just as that cat was ready to pounce, the mother mouse, started barking wildly like a dog. And that cat turned around and ran off. And mom just matter-of-factly turned to her children and said, "And now, kids, you see the value of learning a second language." The second language we get to learn here is oneness. Is oneness. We are connected with that infinite. We are one with that Spirit. And as I begin to make the adjustment and stop thinking, this is bad, this is terrible, how could they have done it? And that's outside to me, and say, okay, God, I'm going to spend some time going a little bit deeper with what is catching my attention, that's saying something necessarily needs to change in my life, and I'm willing to look at it and accept it and go a little bit deeper. And what is my relationship for this adjustment that needs to take place in my life? So I can renew my mind, and that I'm not controlled by the world, but I'm transformed by the renewing of my mind. And what I come to realize is, how is this connected with me if we're all one? One of the First Nations, the Blackfoot, part of the Native Americans that were here first, the Blackfoot, when they say hello to somebody, it's not like, how you doing? How's it going? They say, Tazni da biha, Tazni ta biwa. It means, how are the connections? How are your connections? How are you connected with Mother Earth, Father Sky? How are you connected with your brothers, your sisters? How are you connected with the challenge or that vision quest? How are the connections in your life? Are they working? Are they not working? What is it that is going on that you need to know? Because what happens in our fast-moving society is we're pretty much kind of told we need to be multitasking in our world. Be able to make it in this fast-paced society. We got And, multitasking is not necessarily my thing. I'm a guy, maybe it's a gender thing, but I'm good at focusing on one thing. Callie, on the other hand, she can have all sorts of stuff going. She should be sitting on the couch or reading some article, checking the facts on her computer, and watching the Netflix thing that I'm just so engrossed in, And I say, hey, did you see that, hon? She says, see what? And I said, don't you need it? No, I don't need to see it. I know what's going on. It's like, and so we're able, some of us, to have many different things going on. But what I do know that is beyond multitasking is, if you want to to experience something at a deeper level, you have to bring a full presence to it. If you want to take a look at what this issue is going on in your life, you can't just kind of do it on the side quickly over Brie and Chardonnay. You need to sit with it and be with it and go a little bit deeper and say, hey, what's going on here? What is it I need to know? What is it that I need to see? It is as we begin to present ourselves that the way opens. There's an African tradition of the Yoruba tradition that talks about this one spirit presence or deity, if you would. His name is Ishu, and Ishu is the God that opens the way. It is about what opens the way between heaven and earth. It's what opens the way between that which seems to be the sense of separation. What is going on in my life is part of the totality of my being, and it's not a mistake in my world, but I need to allow myself to be fully present and to go a little bit deeper with this experience so I can say, wow, what's going on here? What is it I need to know? Because I'll tell you what, whatever you spend your time with and are willing to go a little deeper with, it's going to reveal. George Washington Carver learned a lot about the peanut when it just had nothing else on his field of awareness. In our place in Montana, we've got our front yard, we've got the grass, beautiful green grass, and then we have this knoll. And I was sure at one time the grass went up onto this wonderful knoll, but it didn't anymore. And so I decided, brainy idea, I'm going to seed it, fertilize it, and water it, and get it going again, because that's what it was asking of me. And so that's what I did at the beginning of one summer stay out there. The first day, I seeded, and then I watered it by hand. It took like a half hour to water this and get it wet and to soak it. And it was like a chore, if you want to know the truth. You know, I planted these aspen trees and grass. I had this great vision. You know, next day, I started the project, so I got to go do it again. But then after a few days, it's kind of like got into this meditation. You know, I began to water, and after about 5 days, these little green blades of grass started poking up. I'd go, Callie, you see that one? And then they start popping up all over. And then I begin to have a relationship after a week with these little blades of grass that I'm birthing. And now I'm looking forward to going outside 20 minutes every day because there's that guy and there's that gal. And they're reaching for this cone of spray that's coming out of this hose. I'm not going to miss tomorrow. And we're going to go away for a couple of days. I said, we can't go. I've got to water my guys that are out here. And I began to understand the connectedness and the earth and the seeds and the birthing and the thought and the process and the telekey, that intelligence that is in the seed and the universe, and oneness with air. It was amazing how this one experience led me to such a depth that had absolutely to do with nothing. But I felt renewed and refreshed and passionate. And so sometimes in our life when we're so busy doing many things and not taking the time to shift our awareness and get into that deeper relationship, to have that way opened and deepened, people have hobbies. And with hobbies, people somehow just get lost and totally focused in what they do. And whether it directly opens the universe, there is a refreshing, there's a renewing, there's a totality. And what I've come to recognize is going deeper. You can do it with the grass. You can do it with the hobbies. You can do it with the stars. You can do it with something in your world that is asking for change or a challenge that is within there. You are the one who has to be willing to say, you know what, I'm putting everything else aside and I'm going to be present with what is going on in my life. And as we do that, we come back and maybe nothing grand happened, but there's a sense of being refreshed inside. And the struggle maybe hasn't disappeared, but what I've noticed is it tends to shrink to its probably appropriate size, as opposed to the grand one I've blown out in my head because let my head run off on its chatter. I mean, if you're dealing with any stress, I gave you a prayer this week. Read it. Spend time with each sentence there. If you want to eliminate stress, anxiety, and worry, spend some time with that prayer this week. It works for me. So it's here. You know, the shift, the opening has to take place in my field of awareness. So often I want it to happen out there. I want God to go out there and beat up that person or that situation. You know, my God's bigger than yours. Let's get the fight going. But Spirit is there. There's no battle. I'm the one who's got to come into alignment with it for the shift and the change to happen in life. There were a couple guys that were drinking in the bar. They were drinking pretty heavy. Night was moving on. And one of the guys leaned over to his buddy and said, dude, you better stop drinking. I think you're drinking too much. Your face is getting blurry. We want to change out there. It all takes place inside of ourself. All change. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What you think is beautiful may not be beautiful to somebody else. You know, the change has taken place inside of you. That is where it's got to happen. You know, Emerson said that our shadows are a result of standing in our own sunlight. Yeah, this is like the Transcendentalists a long time ago. Our shadows are standing in our own sunlight. The sun's shining, guys. But if there's something out of balance in your world, it's an indicator, Christian, you need to pay attention here. You need to go a little bit deeper because something needs to change. If nothing needed to change, you wouldn't be noticing it, but it's something is calling to you. And as you begin to bring your essence to the situation, you're going to find a greater strength you wouldn't have known because there's a magnitude of something that is calling you that's going to match it. But you've got to know, like that prodigal kid who went home, you know what? I belong here. Not, please, Dad, let me talk you into why I should only be a servant. That's what we do with God. We made a mistake or something happened, the world's not working for a long time. It's like, oh God, let me just tell you why you can get by with giving me the minimal here. You know, you got to remember you're a child of the Most High. No matter what has happened in your life, in your world, no matter how you have been hurt or damaged or betrayed or misjudged or trespassed or whatever, forgiveness is a big key. It's a big key. It makes you available to be able to recognize who you truly are, an expression of the oneness, you know, where the grandfathers live and the grandmothers live. It's all there. I mean, this week we had somebody come over. We needed a doorknob in our house. And so, you know, this guy, the worker, he came on over. You know, we told him where it was, went up, fixed the door. He didn't stop at the refrigerator and grab a drink on the way by. Yeah. He didn't stop on the couch to watch some TV or go outside and hang by the pool. He went, took care of the doorknob, and left just fine. Now, Trevor, on the other hand, you know, my son, when he comes home from school, also Callie's son, but he'll drop his backpack pretty much where he wishes, unless mom's around, and you know, and he'll go into the pantry and grab something if he wants some chips. He doesn't ask me whether he's going to get some hummus out of the refrigerator. He just grabs it, goes upstairs, kicks off his shoes wherever he wants, puts his feet up, turns on the TV, and fires up his laptop if he could sneak it by mom. You know, and he didn't ask. See, there's a big difference between being a servant, being a worker, or being a child of the Father. He acted like that place is, our house is his, which it is. You know, but, you know, that's that sense. You got to be willing. The Bible says, go to the throne boldly. Go boldly to the throne. Let us do your prayers boldly as if you are entitled, that you're a child of the kingdom. It has all been given to you. You are the one who has denied it. Remember this oneness thing that you're learning relationship to. It's been given to you already. You like that? Okay. So a well-told story of a kid, young guy. This is a long time ago in Europe when, you know, you used to have to get a passage on a steamliner across the Atlantic. You know, it took a month or longer. This young guy wanted to come over, and he did everything he could to get enough money to purchase the ticket. And bless his soul, he got the ticket, didn't have enough money for meals, so he just bought a bunch of cheese, crackers, put in the suitcase, and he got on the ship. And so over the next weeks, every night, he'd sit outside the dining hall and he'd watch people go in. He'd eat his cheese, eat the crackers. You know, it was okay. You know, he had it planned. He figured he's on the ship going across. He could smell the food. You guys been on cruises, right? Coming out there. It sounded good. Last a few days, somebody's going in and said, hey, kiddo, man, I see you sitting out there in the corner every night. Why don't you come on in? And he's kind of embarrassed, said, you know, I only had enough money for a ticket. I don't have a thing. Well, come on, sit with me, because I'm afraid to tell you, but, you know, all your meals were included in the tickets you purchased. We come into this world thinking, I need to pay for this, and I need to, it has all been given. You know, if you're struggling with some mistakes, your forgiveness ticket's already been paid. You know, you're struggling with scarcity in your world, it's already been paid up. Abundance is yours now. You know, if you're dealing with fear, know that your peace has been paid up in advance. It is already yours. What has to happen is the adjustment in your consciousness. Do not allow the ways of this world. Don't conform by the ways of this world, by the headlines, the peoples, the fears, those things that are being projected through you, through all the different marketing medias that go. It's like, fear, anxiety, stress, multitask. It doesn't have to be yours. Don't be conformed by the way of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Take time with the relationships that are before you to go a little bit deeper and to recognize that it is an opportunity for your soul to merge more into the wholeness of your being. And in this realization comes the manifestation, the greater expression. And what you need in your life is going to show up. Spirit is amazing. It is ingenious with its ways in which to get you out of your predicaments. Realize that? Ingenious in ways in which it can support you to be free of whatever challenge you are in. And in these weeks of healing, the key today is you are the one who has to make that adjustment. And I want you to know, I stand here knowing that what is on the inside, if you begin to believe that more than what's on the outside, then what's on the inside is going to show up on the outside. But if you don't change what's going on here, it's not going to show up out there. So what I want you to know is, I know for you that you are a child of the Most High, that the kingdom has been given to you, that I want so much for you to experience your freedom and your richness, and that out of the ashes, the beauty has already been paid for you. Out of your struggle, the freedom has already been given. Out of whatever it is that seems to be plaguing you, that the answer is ingeniously placed right before you, but sometimes you just need to go deeper than multitasking with all the things you don't want. And find out what is most important to your soul and your spirit. And that's the one that keeps knocking on your door. Says, maybe you want to change a little bit here. Maybe you want a little bit more shift. What may have served you may not be serving right now. So what I want for you to know is that I know you are royalty, that you are a divine expression on this planet, that your presence blesses me, blesses this community, and that your greater good is downloading into your life right now. Bless you as you experience the fullness of this shift in your world. God bless you. Hey. Woo. Hey. Hey, let's keep it going as we bring Arnáe back to our stage.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Oh, wow. I think I must have time traveled because that message you just delivered, I wrote a song about it about a year ago.
One mind, one spirit, timeless.
Who knew? At that space of forgiveness, recognizing it's self-forgiveness, and being awakened by this song floating through my head. And I was obedient, got up, and it came out. 10 minutes, whole song. It's called Reveal It to Heal It. It's a little personal. I think some people here may be able to relate. Somebody hurt your feelings. Somebody hurt your pride. Somebody disappointed you. And somebody fed you lies. Our hardest lessons are our greatest blessings. Grace, surrender is your way. Reveal it to heal it. Let go of useless pride. There's no more need to hide. Reveal it to heal. Love is your guide. You'll get to the other side. It's my fault, I'm not worthy, I deserved it. And I'm so ashamed of myself. I know that our hardest lessons are our greatest blessings. Love elevates. Surrender is your way. Reveal it to heal it. Let go of a useless pride. There's no more need to hide. Reveal it to heal it. You gotta grow to it, and with love as your guide, you'll get to the other side. Anybody know what I'm talking about here today? Love is the way. Love is the way to the other side. Oh, you can heal your heart with love. You can heal your hurt with love. You can heal your pain with love. And you can heal your shame with love. 'Cause love guides us. Love unites us. Love moves us. Love improves us. Love defines us. Love reminds us. Love aligns us. Love supplies us. Oh, yes it does, yes it does. You can heal your heart with love. You can heal your hurt with love. You can heal your pain with love. You can heal your shame. Hey, reveal it in order to heal it. Let go all that useless pride. Stand in yours, don't hide. Reveal it, reveal it, reveal it to heal it. Just go through it, grow to it, and with love as your guide. Love is the way. La 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 la. We'll get you to the other side. Oh yes, I'm a witness. I believe. I woke up that morning with this song. I believe in love. Woo! Thank you.
That is Arnáe Batson. Woo, Arnáe.